RFK Jr has a unique place in American history, and I'm not talking about his family. Jr might be the only person in American politics crazier than Tiny Fingers.
The stock market is only up because they think I'm going to win, and if we don't win, according to many people, including one of the greatest Wall Street prognosticators, named Scott Bessent. Has anyone heard of him? One of the most brilliant guys on Wall Street. If I don't win, you will have a 1929 style depression.
All right, it's a tie.
Because what we see is a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who was basically bargaining to see who the highest bidder would be to get his endorsement, right? So what he's saying is that Donald Trump gave him a quid pro quo, is going to put him in his administration. Kamala Harris, rightly so, didn't give him the time of day. I think a campaign that's already wrestling with a label of weird, bringing in a guy who's had to deny that he ate a dog, who's told us he had a worm in his brain, and who stabbed a dead cub bear and then posted in Central Park. Man, talk about adding weird to weird.
You know, Scott Jennings is with us. RFK Jr., as you know, Scott, is a known conspiracy theorist and anti-vaxxer. Could this end up backfiring on Trump, his endorsement?
There could be some cost on the other side of the algebra. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when RFK was a liberal, conspiracy theorist. Now he's more of a conservative conspiracy theorist. But the through line is he's a conspiracy theorist, and a lot of people think he's kind of a Looney Tune. So I would just caution the former president, be a little careful here. Don't make any promises you can't get out of, because this guy over the course of his career has been a little bit. So just careful.
Concern about Biden's health and age saw a legacy name shooting for the White House, pardon the pun, and they said, oh no, could RFK Jr. win the election for Trump?
I'm actually one of those, I'm in the minority in this. I think if you've ever spent a lot of time watching Robert Kennedy Jr. speak, I think if you're Joe Biden, you're going to want him on the debate stage.
All right, two things played out. First, the Kennedy name ain't what it was. After JFK and RFK's dalliances with Marilyn Monroe became public and Teddy drove off a bridge and, of course, social media, the Kennedy mystique took a hit, but it still held some panache. And then this happened.
I just ask you guys one more thing. The New York Times, and this has nothing to do with, well, it has to do with the presidential election, has just come out with this extraordinary bizarre article on RFK, and they're reporting that doctors, in a deposition, that RFK said doctors found a worm in his brain that had eaten part of his brain and then died there. I mean, you laugh, but I mean, what might this mean? I mean, what might this mean to an election, to hearing that he said this in a deposition?
It probably means, and one of the things that I tell my clients all the time is try not to go into depositions high.
Now, I'm no expert, but telling people a worm ate your brain doesn't sound like a great political strategy. I'd have kept that to myself, and we're just getting started.
I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
In case you missed it, RFK is no longer running for president. He's endorsing Trump.
I would love that endorsement.
Which was probably a good decision for him. As you heard, the worm was a tip of the proverbial iceberg. We've now learned that RFK has roadkill in his freezer. He may have eaten a dog. He hit a bear with his car, put it in the trunk for a few hours thinking he could eat the bear, then staged the corpse in Central Park. And now he's endorsing Trump. All that aside, all Kennedy wanted was a gig in government, and he didn't care what side he was on. He tried to extort a job from Kamala for a cabinet position. She said it ain't happening. So he spoke with Trump Jr. behind the scenes to endorse Trump, and it worked. Apparently, Jr. is really persuasive. Let's listen in.
I hope Trump comes. I'm going to punch him out.
This is my moment. I've been waiting for this. For trespassing on Capitol grounds.
I think that shit's inherited.
I'm a very stable genius.
Now, I think, like a lot of people, that an RFK Jr. endorsement is more like Dairy Queen teaching algebra. It doesn't add up.
Indictable.
In old pre-social media cable TV times, you might be able to hide these two and their odd, peculiar, insane ways. But like I said, this ain't then. While RFK is definitely weird, Trump's evil and lack of any moral compass makes him a danger to, well, you name it, our democracy, women, minorities, LGBT, and the rest of the world. But these two together?
Oh, I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it. I believe that I would have won the election.
Well, this marriage shows you just how desperate Trump is. RFK already alienated millions of Americans with his insane attacks on Fauci, NIH, Biden, and vaccines. I mean, come on. On one side, you have vaccines and masks, which have been around for hundreds of years and, of course, have improved and saved millions of lives. And on the other side, you have Dairy Queen, I'll lend you a hand, Boebert, and a guy who says a worm ate his brain. But will Kennedy and Trump together beat Harris? Well, that's a fair question. I mean, Trump still has millions of people who think God sent him here, so you know America doesn't exactly hold Mensa status.
Do you feel like Donald Trump is in some way God's chosen one as a candidate?
I do. I think he's been sent from above.
But you have to ask yourself this. Can you combine Trump's hillbillies with Kennedy's legacy and make that stick? I don't think so. I think Walls was right. Americans don't want weird. And combining Trump and Kennedy together is a strange blend. And maybe it was meant to be. Maybe these two are destined to be together. Kennedy's family wants nothing to do with him. Kennedy is a former drug addict who alienated everyone, siblings, Democrats, and worms. And Trump? Melania sleeps in separate rooms, and Ivanka and Jared are adios. And I'm sure Trump is thinking Kennedy isn't exactly a lucky charm. After Dallas, where Cruz's father shot JFK, his father was gunned down in L.A., drunk Uncle Teddy drove off a bridge, JFK Jr. nosedived into the Atlantic, and there's a whole list of other Kennedy tragedies. You know, I think the worm did everyone a favor. I mean, would you want to stand next to this guy in a thunderstorm?
That is crazy!
But Kennedy, for all his woes, isn't an evil person. And that's where the comparison ends. As Project 2025 revealed, Trump has aligned himself with a gaggle of lowlifes, drunks, and traitors who have zero allegiance to the truth. Kennedy's endorsement doesn't offer the amenities of Kennedy lore. Instead, it's an obvious Hail Mary on the last play of the game. And it's a matter of time before Kennedy says something to piss off tiny fingers, or man titties will turn on him and say something awful. Meanwhile, this is happening.
She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win.
I'm not worried by this marriage of stupid and sad. It will end like so many things in both of their lives. While Trump's life is criminal and traitorous, Kennedy is an American tragedy. In fact, if you take stupid, tragic, and criminal and some tequila with the worm, put them in a blender, you get a cocktail that gives Republicans a very specific hangover.
I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
Oh yeah, don't eat the worm.
Damn right.
I'm ready, let's go.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the f*** up, Don.
Who's with me? Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, right.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.